Today, I'm going to talk about the art of possibility. So, let me welcome you in if you're joining me on Facebook Live, if you're joining me on YouTube Live, and let me welcome you if you're joining us now on Amazon Live. So, every day at 12 o'clock, I am joining you because this is my personal accountability. I'm reading a motivational book each day this year in 2021. And then, as my accountability practice, I am showing up here to give you a review. So hopefully this will inspire you, maybe give you some insight. It is such a great journey for me because I find these books to be so inspirational and filling myself up with all of this goodness. It's just starting to pour out of me. And so I hope that you find this gratifying as well. So, the art of possibility. If you are joining me on Amazon, I'm going to highlight that for you right now in the carousel, and I will say hello. And we can get started here in the chat. And if you are joining me on Facebook or on YouTube, I will also put this into the chat for you there as well. So you can follow along, purchase the book if you like, and welcome. So, The Art of Possibility. This is a book that I discovered through an online course that I took, and it is recommended by some of the people I revere the most. Christian Northrup, Seth Godin is through his classes is how I came upon it. There's quotes on here from endorsements from Warren Bennis and so many more. So I have to say, it's well endorsed, and there's a lot of really, really good things happening. Dallas, drop that. So my little puppy Dallas is always joining us with lots of fun things in the background. Okay, The Art of Possibility. What is this book about? This is about, I would call it a combination of Scott Peck meets Chicken Soup for the Soul. Neither one of those authors have anything to do with this book, but it is a lot about stories that are inspiring. The depth of the inspiration of those stories is really, really meaningful. And at first, I have to say, I didn't take a minute when I first got this book home to actually look at the very intro and how to read it, which I'm learning is so very important. We were doing that with Tools of the Titans the other day, the Tim Ferriss book, and I was explaining to my sweetie Darren, like you don't have to read it in order. It's kind of excerpts. It's this sort of thing. And in some books build chapter upon chapter, right? Depends on what it is. So I would say take a moment to read the intro here because it really does kind of outline the book and what it's about and gives a bit of perspective before you dive in. So lots of practices that you'll see here because it's all about inspiring a mindset change. It really is an invitation to look at things differently and stories that inspire you to do exactly that. So I want to say hello if you're joining me on Amazon Live. I see you there. I want to say hello as well as if you're joining me on Facebook Live. Really excited to have you here. All right, so launching the journey. And again, it's a combination of authors, Rosamund Stone Zander and Benjamin Zander, the authors here. So this is a how-to book of an unusual kind. Unlike the genre of how-to books that offer strategies to surmount hurdles of a competitive world and move out ahead, the objective of this book is to provide the reader a means to lift off from that old world and from that struggle and sail into a vast universe of possibility. Ah, who doesn't love that, right? Sail on, this is intended to put us into a place that we can sail into a universe of possibility. Our premise is that many of the circumstances that seem to block us in our daily lives may only appear to do so based on a framework of assumptions that we carry with us. So already we can see a little psychology kind of coming into play there, right? Draw a different frame around that set of circumstances and new pathways come into view. I love it. One of my all-time favorite phrases is put a new frame about it. I've blogged about it. I've talked about it. I'm putting a new frame around it today because I'm in Victoria's room today because we've got a lot going on as far as videos and it's really exciting new products coming in. And I just have to say, putting a new frame around it really does change everything. Whether it is, something so simple as like a physical sort of like photo booth, and you kind of think about it that way in a tangible way, or you think about it in reconstructing the situation through a different lens, right? So, the partnership. This is about a partnership between Ben and Roz and sort of their shared overlapping vision, if you will. Ben is the conductor of the Boston Philharmonic Orchestra, a teacher and a communicator of rare abilities who engages passionately with orchestras, audiences, and the public at large. Roz functions in an immediate arena. She has a private practice in family therapy and runs accomplishment groups. I love that. She runs accomplishment groups and works with people in many settings to transform issues and conflicts. These are serious, amazing people. Together, we work as a team. So, the design. They say, revolutionary shifts in the operational structures of our world seem to call for a new definition of who we are and what we are here for. It's really powerful stuff. So this isn't a simple read. I have to say, this is something that you're going to want to slow down for a minute and be ready to kind of grab a cup of tea and maybe matcha tea from from Alyssa, and really, kind of sit for a minute and ponder it. So I was just going to take a look and see if I can check on the year. This book is fairly new, I think, but certainly not as, in the last couple of years when we've been dealing with all of the changes that we have in the world lately. And, oh, okay. No, it's not. It's from 2000, the year 2000. How about that? Every bit as relevant today as it was 21 years ago. Wow. Okay. All right, the vision. Like a piece of music, this book it has a long song line, a theme upon which each chapter is a variation. I love that. The long line is the possibility of seeing deeply into what is best for all of us, seeing the next step. How many times have we heard that? That next right step, right? That next smallest step forward. Each chapter of the book offers a separate piece of realizing the vision. I love that. Want to say thank you, by the way, joining me on Facebook. Also want to say hello if you're joining me on Amazon Live. I see you. Hi, Evan. Great to have you here. It's so much fun to be able to enjoy our time together here. And I'm glad to answer your questions. Glad to also take your inspirations if you have a book that you'd like me to read. And I see you jumping on Facebook Live too. So thank you so much for joining me here. All right, and on Facebook Live, I'm just going to make sure that, there we go. The Art of Possibility is the book that we're reviewing today, and I'm highlighting that for you right now in the carousel. All right, please let me invite you to follow me if you love these book reviews that we do every day at noon here. It's my privilege and my honor to be able to share with you about really inspirational books every day at noon. All right, so practices. Standard social and business practices are built on certain assumptions, sort of this thread of understandings that have evolved from older beliefs and conditions. So what this book is about, as they say here in the very beginning, is that for this reason, our daily practices feel right and true to us, regardless of whether they've evolved to keep up with the pace of change. So again, written in 2000, but still every bit as relevant here, like carrying all of our assumptions and beliefs, we sort of see the world through a certain lens. And they say, in just the way a business culture arises and perpetuates itself, perhaps long after its usefulness has passed, this book offers practices that are transformational. I have to agree. Practices that are transformational. They may feel illogical or counterintuitive to our normal understanding of how things operate. Their purpose is to initiate a new approach to a current condition. That what's better than to open up pathways for a new way of thinking, right? For a new world of possibility, for a new path of exploration. And that's what this book is all about. So they are geared toward, and I'm quoting, causing a total shift of posture, perceptions, beliefs, and thought processes. That's a big claim, right? And this book can really do it. I really, really invite you to own this book, because what happens is that there are little, I would call them almost like vignettes or stories, certainly stories, that kind of give you a different perspective on things. Like I said earlier, kind of like a mix between Scott Peck meets Chicken Soup for the Soul. Like The Road Less Traveled meets Chicken Soup for the Soul. However, neither of those authors are involved in this book. It's just conceptually kind of how I saw the mixture of concepts. All right, so for perspective, it's all invented. I love that. It's all invented. It's so true, isn't it? A shoe factory sends two marketing scouts to a region in Africa to study prospects for expanding business. One sends back a telegram saying, "Situation hopeless. Stop. No one wears shoes." The other writes back triumphantly, "Glorious business opportunity. Stop. They have no shoes." What a great initial paradigm, right? To look at two different views of the world right there. Same set of circumstances, totally different views. I just love that. By the way, I want to say thank you as you're joining me here on Facebook Live. I see you there. I'm really excited that you are joining me today. We're talking about The Art of Possibility by Roz and Benjamin Zander. All right, so to the marketing expert who sees no shoes, all the evidence points to hopelessness. To his colleague, the same conditions point to abundance and possibility. Glass half full, glass half empty, right? Whole new way of seeing it. We perceive only the sensations we are programmed to receive. And our awareness is further restricted by the fact that we recognize only those for which we have mental maps and categories. Like, you couldn't even imagine what you're not seeing because you're not privy to it, right? I mean, it's almost like sounds like something Deepak Chopra would say on his, quantum messaging. It's really, really fascinating to me. So again, not a book that you can kind of breeze through in a day, but if you take it slowly, vignette by vignette, story by story, you can get there. They use the classic 9 dots. How do you connect the 9 dots without ever having the pencil move the paper, not touch the paper? Really cool in there, just a reminder about that. And then they say what this is really about is the practice. Makes me think of Seth Godin's The Practice. A simple way to practice, it's all invented, is to ask yourself this question: what assumption am I making that I'm not aware that I'm making that gives me what I see? Takes a minute to ponder it, right? There's a little bit of philosophy kind of thrown in here. And when you have the answer to that question, ask yourself this one: what might I now invent that I haven't yet invented that would give me other choices? That is good stuff, right? So again, what assumption am I making that I'm not aware I'm making that gives me what I want to see? And then once you've seen that, what might I now invent that I haven't yet invented that would give me other choices? Wow, right? So I'm just going to give you a little taste of this book. The Universe of Possibility is the second practice. Once you have begun to distinguish all that's invented, you can create. My alarm's going off here because we've got some commitments today as well. Once you have begun to distinguish if it's invented, you can create a place to dwell there with new inventions, or the new order of the day. And call it a place, they call it a universe of possibility. Ugh, I wish for you today that you can live in a universe of possibility. I've been doing it off and on, and I have to say it's a really cool place to live. The second step is it's our second practice. They talk about it. So there's practice after practice after practice. I would love to spend more time with you today. Today is a day of honoring my commitments to projects, and this one included. I'm so excited to be here every day at noon with you to give you a book review on a motivational book today, The Art of Possibility. And I'll just share a little bit more because as a mom, this one teaches, it speaks to my heart. A child is an exquisite attention getting device designed to sound an alarm at the first indication that he will be forgotten or relegated to a position where he does not count. He needs the care and attention of strong, competent people to make it through, and nurture obliges him by endowing him with enough fear and aggression to stimulate him to hold fiercely onto sources of viability. Right. Yes, I have to say, it is a good book. Definitely good for dads as well. This is, I speak to it from a mom standpoint only because I'm a mom, but this is about more about parenting, this particular chapter. The entire book is not, and answering questions on Amazon Live. So thank you so much for being here. Invasion, I love it. I want to say that this is moms and dads. It's for anybody that wants to be inspired. It's for anybody that is looking for a paradigm shift or just the possibility of looking at things differently. This particular chapter, and now I'm working in rule number 6, the sixth practice. They don't call them chapters, they call them practices. And this one is about how a child comes to think of himself as the personality he gets recognition for, or in other words, as the set of patterns of action and habits that get him through and out of childhood in one piece. And no matter how confident or well positioned this adult self appears, underneath the surface, it's weak and sees itself as marginal and at risk for losing everything. Now, I have to say, as I was looking at this, I took argument with that, right? And my ego was like, I don't know if that's really true for me. And then I thought, if you really look down deep, there may be strings of that ring true. We portray the calculating self as a ladder with a downward spiral, and that ladder refers to the world view that life is about making progress, striving for success. I can say I definitely can associate with that one. So again, to summarize, when this leads to conflict, we're likely to think that we have to run up against difficult people, and we've learned an important lesson. We become hard-headed and practical. Inevitably, the relationship spirals downward. Okay, so then the question becomes, what would have to change for me to be completely fulfilled? What would have to change for me to be completely fulfilled? Dallas. The answer to this question will clue us into the condition of our calculating self, finding threatening or even intolerable. And we may see that our zeal to bring about change may benefit from a lighter touch. The intolerable condition may be a place or a situation, but very often it's another person. And so, again, I think the positioning here is that sometimes we see it's another person pushing our buttons, but maybe it's our buttons just sitting there waiting to be pushed by someone, and maybe it's another person. And so you're welcome answering questions on Amazon Live. I'm so glad that you're here joining me, and want to say thank you as well joining me on Facebook Live. I really appreciate you being here. I'll put links to the book there as well. So a little bit of all kinds of different things, a little bit of parenting advice, a little bit of self-parenting advice, really beautiful stories that are heartwarming and will touch you and make you think about things in a different way. I found a little note in there from my daughter too, as I was thumbing through it this morning. So in summary, let me just wrap up for you because today's going to be short and sweet. Um, there's sort of insight from counseling sessions that they share. And then in the back, it really gives a beautiful summary here, talking about you may have come to this book looking for solutions to some very real problems, or you may have opened it as an idle traveler passing through. But before long, you have realized that this book had no intention of solving your problems or even letting you browse. It was interested in providing you with tools for transformation. And that really is true. I think that's what this is about. This is about tools for transformation. Remember how we used to dream as children of the delicious freedom and power of being grown up, and somehow the dream vanished along the way, and we were energized only here and there by a job well done, a spirited gathering, or an occasional week in the sun. Now that we know it's all invented, they say at the end of the book, let's revise the story. Let's just say that somewhere along the journey, we carried too much, or slipped too often, or heard too many voices in our head, and got lost and off track in that downward spiral. We forgot the promise of our birth. How fascinating. Look around, and they will inspire you at the end of the book. I don't want to give it all away as the summary is there, but story after story, practice after practice, inspiration after inspiration, the art of possibility. I highly recommend it. All right. Thank you for being with me today. Short and sweet as I'm moving to other commitments. My commitment is to be here with you every day at noon for a motivational book review right here on YouTube Live, Amazon Live, and Facebook Live. And I will see you tomorrow.